It is Sunday the 7th of November 2021, and we're looking at the moon and Venus juxtaposed with the tower of the Pointe Callière Archaeological Museum in Montreal. And we see some, even in the video, we see earth shine on the moon, and we see some clouds coming in, not too much. There was a fair bit of cloud. It was actually quite difficult to see the moon and Venus at the same time because there was a fair number of clouds going by earlier. But I managed to get some good shots with the clouds, sometimes with both the moon and Venus visible. But then also later it did clear up. We actually had some clear sky for a while, so I got some images with clear sky. So I just thought I'd shoot a little video here with the clouds coming across, obscuring the moon. Looks like they're going to totally obscure the moon in a few minutes. I'm just debating if I should change position. I guess we'll stay as we are for now, although I'd probably prefer to have the tower more centered between the moon and Venus than it is. I mean, Venus is encroaching on the tower, but as we can see, that cloud coming in on the right there should totally cover the moon soon. Although, well, maybe not totally. It might see bits and pieces of it, but essentially it'll obscure the moon for the most part. Our exposure is 40th of a second f4. ISO 2500. We're using a 180 millimeter f 2.8 maximum opening Nikkor lens on a Nikon D800, and I'm quite happy with what I'm seeing here, and it's very close to what I'm seeing with the unaided eye. Maybe the sky's a little bit darker than I'm seeing, and the poles are a little brighter because we don't have quite the dynamic range, but nonetheless very, very similar to what I'm seeing with the naked eye. And this is just straight out of the camera video. Some other more recent cameras, they have lower contrast recording, so you can actually get a sort of better dynamic range even though it's a bit flatter. But you can adjust the contrast later. But I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I'm liking this moody image. It's actually kind of fun that Venus is so close to the tower and the moon sort of moving off to the right there. It's kind of an interesting image. And we'll let it go for a little bit longer. And I see what looks like a pretty big dark, thick bank of cloud coming in on the right there, coming in from the west. So we may not be seeing things much longer, but I was lucky. I was able to get some good shots. Just basically the moon and Venus juxtaposed with the tower here, nothing else. I had thought of going to Ile Sainte-Hélène, getting up on the Jacques Cartier Bridge, looking back towards the city, to have the moon and Venus, with the whole skyline. But it was a bit iffy, especially in terms of the clouds. So I decided I might as well just come to Old Montreal instead and hope for the best. And I think I did very well, all things considered. I'm noticing that it's getting darker on the video simply because it's getting darker here. I'm not set in automatic exposure, it's manual exposure. So as the overall light gets darker, so does the sky. Darker than I'm seeing at the moment, somewhat. Not terribly, but to some extent slightly darker. So, as we see the rotation of the Earth here, we see how Venus is getting closer and closer to the tower. The moon is moving off to the right of the frame, although it's still got some ways to go. See the clouds coming in there. Again, I'm actually quite happy with this. I'm just debating if I should shut up and take a still photo of the same scene. I think maybe I should.